welcome back to our channel, to Healing with Maridel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is our 18th day. I'm so excited. So today we're going to read and reflect on John chapter 18, a chapter filled with betrayal, fear, and courage. So we have learned a lot from our previous chapters of the book of John. So now it's a much more heavier side. So again, we are using this Bible because for me this is the easiest. I am doing this for my healing as well, and for me to be able to somehow touch lives if there are there are souls like me. So let's heal together. Okay, so if you felt weak in your faith, made mistakes, or struggled to stand firm, this message is for you, for us. So let's open our hearts and listen. Okay, so let's start John chapter 18. After saying these things, Jesus crossed the Kidron Valley with his disciples and entered a grove of olive trees. Judas, the betrayer, knew this place because Jesus had often gone there with his disciples. The leading priests and Pharisees had given Judas a contingent of Roman soldiers and temple guards to accompany him. Now, with blazing torches, lanterns, and weapons, they arrived at the olive grove. Jesus fully realized all that was going to happen to him, so he stepped forward to meet them. "Who are you looking for?" he asked. "Jesus the Nazarene," they replied. "I am he," Jesus said. Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them. As Jesus said, "I am he," they all drew back and fell to the ground. Once more he asked them, "Who are you looking for?" And again they replied, "Jesus the Nazarene. I told you that I am he," Jesus said. "And since I am the one you want, let the others go." He did this to fulfill his own statement, "I did not lose a single one of those who have given me." Then Simon Peter drew a sword and slashed off the right ear of Malchus, the high priest's slave. But Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword back into its sheath. Shall I not drink from this cup of suffering the Father has given me?" So the soldiers, their commanding officer, and the temple guards arrested Jesus and tied him up. First, they took him to Annas, since he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the higher priest at that time. Caiaphas was the one who had told the other Jewish leaders, "It's better that one man should die for the people." Simon Peter followed Jesus, as did another of the disciples. That other disciple was acquainted with the high priest, so he was allowed to enter the high priest's courtyard with Jesus. Peter had to stay outside the gate. Then the disciple who knew the high priest spoke to the woman watching at the gate, and she let Peter in. The woman asked Peter, You are not one of that man's disciples, are you?" "No," he said, "I'm not." Because it was cold, the household servants, the guards, had made a charcoal fire. They stood around it, had made warming themselves, and Peter stood with them, warming himself. Inside, the high priest began asking Jesus about his followers and what he had been teaching them. Jesus replied, "Everyone knows what I teach. I have preached regularly in the synagogues and the temple, where the people gather. I have not spoken in secret. Why are you asking me this question? Ask those who heard me. They know what I said." Then one of the temple guards standing nearby slapped Jesus across the face. "Is that the way to answer a high priest?" he demanded. Jesus replied, "If I said anything wrong, you must prove it. But if I am speaking the truth, why are you beating me?" Then Annas bound Jesus and sent him to Caiaphas, the high priest. Meanwhile, as Simon Peter was standing by the fire, warming himself, they asked him again, "You're not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it, saying, "No, I'm not." So that's the second time. But one of the household slaves of the high priest, a relative of the man whose Peter had cut off, asked, "Didn't I see you out there in the olive grove with Jesus?" Again, Peter denied it. So that's the truth. Third, and immediately a rooster crowed. Jesus' trial before Caiaphas ended in the early hours of the morning. Then he was taken to the headquarters of the Roman governor. His accusers didn't go inside because it would defile them, and they wouldn't be allowed to celebrate the Passover. So Pilate, the governor, went out to them and asked, "What is your charge against this man?" "We wouldn't have handed him over to you if he weren't a criminal," they retorted. "Then take him away and judge him by your own law," Pilate told them. Only the Romans are permitted to execute someone. The Jewish leaders replied. This fulfilled Jesus' prediction about the way he would die. Then Pilate went back into his headquarters and called for Jesus to be brought to him. Are you the king of the Jews? He asked him. Jesus replied, is this your own question, or did others tell you about me? Am I a Jew? Pilate retorted. Your own people and their leading priests brought you to me for trial. Why, what have you done? Jesus answered, my kingdom is not an earthly kingdom. If it were, my followers would fight to keep me from being handed over to the Jewish leaders. But my kingdom is not of this. Pilate said, so you are king? Jesus responded, you say I am king, actually. I was born and came into the world to testify the truth. All who love the truth recognize that what I say is true. What is truth? Pilate asked. Then he went out again to the people and told them, he is not guilty of any crime. But you have a custom of asking me to release one prisoner each year at Passover. Would you like me to release this king of the Jews? But they shouted back, no, not this man. We want Barabbas. Barabbas was a revolutionary. So that's it. So it's all in John 18. So there, John chapter 18 is really hard to read because it feels so human. Betrayal, fear, weakness. Peter loved Jesus, but in that moment of pressure, he denied him. And honestly, we can relate. There are times when we stay silent about our faith, times when we choose comfort over courage, times when we fall short. But here's the powerful part. Even when others failed, Jesus remained steady. He didn't run, he didn't fight back, he didn't surrender. And that reminds me that our failures don't cancel God's purpose, not only for us, but for the whole world. If you've ever felt like you've failed God, remember, He already knew, and He still chose you. Your mistakes don't define you, His grace does. Stand up again, come back to Him, and just pray. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, follow, and share, and comment amen if you're choosing to stand in faith again. So thank you so much for always, for all the 18 days. So I hope we can gather more souls and we can be able to touch hearts along the way. So again, I am doing this not because I am a pastor or whatever. I'm not a teacher. I do not have formal studies when it comes to the Bible or the words of God, but I am doing this for my healing, and I wanted to also touch hearts or souls that is also the same as mine. So in a healing process. So again, we are using this. This is the Bible that we're using because for me, this is the most easiest to understand. So this is the easiest to understand. That's why I chose this Bible. And for those who do not have Bibles, that is the reason why I am reading the every chapter, because I wanted us to learn about God, to learn about the Bible more. So that's it. Thank you so much and have a great day. God bless us.